Abraham Lincoln was born February 12, 1809, in a single-room log cabin, Hardin County, Kentucky. His family upbringing was modest. His parents from Virginia were neither wealthy or well-known. He married Mary Todd in 1842. Mary Todd shared many of her husband's political thinking, but they also had different temperaments, with Mary more prone to swings in her emotions. His best remembered house-divided speech reflected on the divisive nature of America. After a hard-fought, divisive campaign of 1860, Lincoln was elected the first Republican President of the United States. On April 14, 1865, 5 days after the surrender of General Robert E. Lee and the Confederate Army, Lincoln was assassinated by American stage actor John Wilkes Booth while visiting Ford's Theater. Lincoln's death was widely mourned across the country. You are ambitious, which, within reasonable bounds, does good rather than harm. There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law. Plainly, the central idea of secession is the essence of anarchy. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. Let us then turn this government back into the channel in which the framers of the Constitution originally placed it. I have borne a laborious, and, in some respects to myself, a painful part in the contest. Through all, I have neither assailed, nor wrestled with any part of the Constitution. The people are the rightful masters of both Congresses and courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert it. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time, or die by suicide. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. As our case is new, so we must think anew, and act anew. Our government rests in public opinion. Whoever can change public opinion, can change the government, practically just so much. Welcome, or unwelcome, agreeable, or disagreeable, whether this shall be an entire slave nation, is the issue before us. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. I think we have fairly entered upon a durable struggle as to whether this nation is to ultimately become all slave or all free. Understanding the spirit of our institutions to aim at the elevation of men, I am opposed to whatever tends to degrade them. This is essentially a people's contest. On the side of the Union, it is a struggle for maintaining in the world that form and substance of government, whose leading object is to elevate the condition of men. May our children and our children's children to 1,000 generations continue to enjoy the benefits conferred upon us by a united country. The restoration of the rebel states to the Union must rest upon the principle of civil and political equality of both races, and it must be sealed by general amnesty. While we must, by all available means, prevent the overthrow of the government, we should avoid planting and cultivating too many thorns in the bosom of society. In this great struggle, this form of government and every form of human right is endangered if our enemies succeed. There is more involved in this contest than is realized by everyone. It is not merely for today, but for all time to come that we should perpetuate for our children's children this great and free government, which we have enjoyed all our lives. Nowhere in the world is presented a government of so much liberty and equality. To the humblest and poorest amongst us are held out the highest privileges and positions. Thoughtful men must feel that the fate of civilization upon this continent is involved in the issue of our contest. When it comes to this, I should prefer emigrating to some country where they make no pretense of loving liberty, to Russia, for instance, where despotism can be taken pure, and without the base alloy of hypocrisy. If you are resolutely determined to make a lawyer of yourself, the thing is more than half done already. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other one thing. I know not how to aid you, save in the assurance of one of mature age, and much severe experience, that you cannot fail, if you resolutely determine that you will not. And having thus chosen our course, without guile, and with pure purpose, let us renew our trust in God, and go forward without fear, and with manly hearts. Adhere to your purpose and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. On the contrary, if you falter, and give up, you will lose the power of keeping any resolution, and will regret it all your life. I expect to maintain this contest until successful, or till I die, or am conquered, or my term expires, or Congress or the country forsakes me. Upon this subject of education, not presuming to dictate any plan or system respecting it, I can only say that I view it as the most important subject which we as a people can be engaged in. In this country, one can scarcely be so poor, but that, if he will, he can acquire sufficient education to get through the world respectably. A capacity and taste for reading gives access to whatever has already been discovered by others. It is the key, or one of the keys, to the already solved problems. No country can sustain, in idleness, more than a small percentage of its numbers. The great majority must labor at something productive. I am a little uneasy about the abolishment of slavery in this district, not but I would be glad to see it abolished, but as to the time and manner of doing it. What I did after very full deliberation, and under a heavy and solemn sense of responsibility. I can only trust in God that I have made no mistake.
And upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice, warranted by the Constitution, upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind, and the gracious favor of Almighty God. Still, to use a coarse, but an expressive figure, broken eggs cannot be mended. I have issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and I cannot retract it.
I have very earnestly urged the slave states to adopt emancipation, and it ought to be, and is an object with me not to overthrow, or thwart what any of them may in good faith do, to that end. Those who shall have tasted actual freedom I believe can never be slaves, or quasi-slaves again. But the proclamation, as law, either is valid, or is not valid. If it is not valid, it needs no retraction. If it is valid, it cannot be retracted, any more than the dead can be brought to life. we called the maxim that all men are created equal, a self-evident truth. But now when we have grown fat, and have lost all dread of being slaves ourselves, we have become so greedy to be masters that we call the same maxim a self-evident lie.